image here of Montana Bigfoot. Now you know what I was talking about in the previous episodes of the muscle detail, and you can see the facial structure.
It's kind of behind the trees there. Well, I see a clear face. I see some lips. I see a nose, even cheekbones even.
Absolutely, yeah. And I see muscular definition in the chest and shoulders.
So what is this telling us?
Well, I want to talk about it's
This is Bigfoot.
You can't get any clearer than this. But let's talk about that show, $10 Million Bigfoot Bounty, because the two grunge guys, the bearded guy named Sandy and the other guy named Dave, they had to get some kind of evidence, and they picked...
Don't they claim they filmed Bigfoot before?
Yes, those guys had... One of those guys did.
Some of this footage from them?
No, I don't... Oh, from this? No, none of this is from them. They had to come up with some kind of evidence. They had something. They didn't know what it was. It was bones. And they claimed they could not tell what part of an animal it was from. And they give it to Todd Disotell, the expert. He immediately... This is why they were up for review at the end.
Because he knew exactly what it was.
He says that's either elk or deer. It just has his antlers taken off, sawed off. Can't you see this flat edge where they just sawed off antlers? Those antlers are now on someone's wall as a trophy. So you guys are experts and you couldn't tell. And you know what? They've been traveling. They're not staying in one place. They were in Willow Creek.
You're kidding.
No, and they showed the towns, the storefronts in the main area. In fact...
That puts a whole different spin on it. I thought they were in the same place, continuously going after the same thing. They're moving them around the country.
They started off in Washington, then they went to Mount St Helens in Washington, and then they went to Willow Creek, and that's where they voted off the Native American gentleman. Oh, I think what they're going to next week is a place called Ape Canyon. Ape Canyon is a famous story that took place in 1924. It's one of the early...
So they're hitting all the hot spots, all the famous places where Bigfoot's been sighted.
Yeah, they don't want to take chances. They don't want people to say, "Oh, well, you'd never have a good chance of finding them there."
So when you got $10 million up for grabs, you got to go to the places where most likely you'll find Bigfoot.
But it was a guy named Fred Beck who claimed in 1924 he was on some kind of surveying or something like that, and his cabin was bombarded with rocks, and they claimed that they were big Bigfoot-like creatures throwing rocks at them. They were under siege, and that's where they're going to be next week. Ape Canyon is in Mount St. Helens, and that's one of the more famous tales of Bigfoot. That guy Michael, the guy with the mohawk, remember when we were talking before and I had mentioned that his wife, and I'm not even sure that's his wife, if anybody knows who...
The woman that's with him that doesn't say anything unless they're alone together.
Yes. I'm not sure that's his wife or not, because I'm looking at their bios, and she has a different last name. Maybe some women don't choose their husband's name, but I don't know if they're husband and wife. I assume they are. But he now has a camera on his head. Smart that he does, but his wife missed an opportunity. She claimed she saw a Bigfoot, but she didn't have a camera on her head.
But she had the cameraman.
Yeah, there's a cameraman that was there.
She saw a Bigfoot. She had a cameraman, but there's no footage.
And
how the hell does that happen?
What's interesting about her is I recently found out that she by profession or interest, is a paranormal type of woman who does...
Well, now that makes sense.
Where she saw something out of the corner of her eye.
That makes sense to me.
She might have seen what she thought was a ghost or something like that.
Maybe it was one traveling, through a dimension.
Now, there's another couple on there that got kicked off in episode 4. They were kind of like low...
The guy was arguing with his
wife? Yes, the guy that was arguing with his wife the most.
They dressed the same colors?
I don't even recall. I remember you saying that, but I don't even know. What struck me about that is the guys, I'm a hunter, I do this stuff, and she was all the women are kind of like, well, I do this, though. The guys are, hunters, and the women are mystical people. What she did, she's the one that mixed food. They had to put food in a cage to catch some kind of animal, and she mixed up the food together and he's saying, why you do that? Just they're trying to get a distinctive scent, and you're mixing up the food. And she goes, oh, I don't know, I like doing it this way. She was trying to. This is what the reason they got kicked off was because she had been called out before at the end on the chopping block before. But she had whale calls. She brought recordings with her of like killer whales or something.
Are Bigfoot attracted to whales?
No, that's what Todd Disotell said. Why would you do that? There's no evidence of primates communicating with whales. She thought somehow mystically
maybe
crystals or whatever they're...
Everybody has an opinion.
So anyway, they got the chopping block last week. And we'll talk about more about that episode, or both episodes, 4 and 5, in the next episode.